Russian President Vladimir Putin is threatening Europe with a nuclear strike. But he's done that before. He threatened. What else is new, right? Wrong. He's never threatened like this before, openly at St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, publicly sending a loud and clear message to the USA, the EU, and the NATO. Putin has just escalated his nuclear threats to the level unseen before. So, is this possible? Will Russia strike Ukraine or Europe with its nuclear missiles? Let's find out what's really going on. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. No propaganda, BS or lies as usual, only truth, common sense, and logic, and some emotions too, because I am a human being after all. Before I start, please be informed that today's live stream will consist of 3 parts: this message, then sharing and discussing this message in the live stream chat, and a prayer at the end. Now, hands down, the biggest fear of my childhood was the nuclear war. I was growing up in the 70s, I was really little, and in the 80s. You know, the nuclear war was that dark cloud that never disappeared from my skies. It was like way far away somewhere, but it always was there. You know, the end of everything. Boy, was it scary or what. I wasn't even a teenager, I was a child. So growing up in the USSR, we believed that the evil Americans were out to destroy us at any cost, even at the cost of their own lives. Then the USSR collapsed and we learned the truth. And it wasn't the Americans who were evil, it was us. And it was a tough thing to swallow when you're 16 years old. But hey, the USSR was no more. And all the fear of nuclear war disappeared literally overnight. For 30 years, we forgot how it is to be scared of nuclear war. Well, not anymore. That scare has come back with a big bang. And that big bang has a name, and it's Putin. First things first, what the hell is this about? There are 2 types of nuclear weapons, tactical and strategic. Sometimes they're called strategic and non-strategic. Tactical nuclear weapon or non-strategic nuclear weapon is a nuclear weapon that is designed to be used on a battlefield in military situations, mostly with friendly forces in proximity, and perhaps even on contested friendly territory. Generally smaller in explosive power, they are defined in contrast to strategic nuclear weapons, which are designed mostly to be targeted at the enemy interior far away from the war front. And the strategic nuclear missiles, weapons are used against military bases, cities, towns, arms industries, factories, other hardened or larger area targets to damage the enemy's ability to wage war. So as of 2024, no tactical nuclear weapon has ever been used in combat. Please notice that. Note that. When people talk of using nuclear weapons, they usually mean the strategic, the big ones. Using strategic nuclear missile is generally the end of everything, the end of us. As far as I understand, using tactical, the smaller scale bombs or missiles, would not be the end of it in terms of the devastation that would follow, physical devastation, but it would be the end of it because Russia using tactical nukes, that will instantly lead to the escalation to use the big nukes by everyone, by the Western countries and by the USA and the big nukes, the strategic. So let's make, for the sake of, simplicity, whatever, let's make no difference in tactical or strategic. Nukes are nukes. Once even the smallest nuke in existence is used, and this is it. This is beginning of big end. So where are we now, and how did we get here? I don't know about you, but I'm feeling uneasy. And the biggest question I'll try to answer right now is, when I fall asleep, will I sleep easy, or will I sleep uneasy thinking about the nukes? So let's try to answer this question. Before, I thought there was no way Putin would use nukes. And I'm not so sure now, but let's leave it until the end. Yes, using nukes for Russia, for Putin, would be suicide. But what if Putin doesn't care? What if he wants to leave this world with a big bang? And that's a real scary thought that I have. Before I start discussing this, talking about this, I'd like to share a phenomenon with you. Vladimir Putin has been talking and escalating nuclear threats, okay? And it's a big deal. And a lot of Russians I know inside Russia, they act as if it doesn't concern them. It does directly. If nukes are used, there would be a retaliation, nuclear retaliation, and the entire hell would break loose, Somehow Russian people think that it's none of their concern. It doesn't touch them directly, and there's nothing they can do about it, so why worry? And they don't even want to listen to the news. When I was telling them yesterday, that Vladimir Putin threatened everyone on the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, I have a pretty good feeling that most didn't believe me. Thought I was blowing things out of proportion. Oh well. So anyway, in the beginning, discussing nukes or talking about nukes or even thinking about nukes being used in Ukraine or somewhere else was a taboo. Everyone in Russia knew you just don't use nuclear weapons under any circumstances, period. You don't. No. Moreover, Russia officially was not at any war. And it's officially not at war even now. What was going on in Ukraine was just a special military operation, according to Russian government, Putin and his buddies, special military operation, quick, easy, and bloodless, in and out type of thing. And then us, the Russians, started calling it its true name, the war, right at the beginning. And they quickly made up a new law and started putting us, those calling its true name, the war, to prisons for 7 years. By the way, I called this, I called that whatever they call in special military operation, I called its true name, the war, right then, on the day one, right after I heard that Russia invaded Ukraine. I actually made a video, and I think it's called The Special Military Operation Just Begun. So I'm going to put a link right over here. It's day one. It's hour zero. That was the moment when this channel inside Russia was truly born the way it exists now. So check it out. Back then, even if I mentioned nukes, everyone would get back to me, are you insane? What nukes? Regular people in government officials, what nukes? This is just a special military operation. We said, we don't need to use nukes there, we're just in and out, you watch. This is where we were standing at the beginning of the war. Today, 2.5 years later, Putin openly threatens Europe with a direct nuclear strike from Russia. So how did we get there? This is actually the second major escalation happening right now during the war in Ukraine. when the leaders of Russia and the Western countries are discussing the possibility of using this nuclear weapons exchange, the first time, the first escalation happened in the fall of 2022. For the first time, Washington really feared an escalation from the Kremlin because Russia found itself in the position of a possibility of losing the war, okay? Do you remember how Russian troops were running away from Kharkov? Do you remember how they were running away from Kherson, okay? And this is when, Putin was kind of up the wall and he started escalating. He started hinting that, hey, don't forget that Russia has nuclear missiles and so forth. In the following months, such threats, which were expressed either officially or by hints or directly, but at unofficial level, they were recognized by many politicians and experts in the West as blackmail with elements of bluffing. But a year and a half later, now, the discussion about the threat of uncontrolled escalation towards nuclear war returned in a new form and under different circumstances. Now the West must decide whether it is ready to escalate in order to save Ukraine, which theoretically is now being threatened by Russia with a real nuclear conflict. But that was in the past. The first escalation, when Putin found himself up against the wall, was in the past. Now the leaders of the United States, the EU, and Russia have been exchanging sharp statements over the past months. Western politicians are openly discussing whether Ukraine should be given the right to use weapons that the West supplied, the long-range missiles and the planes that are coming and so forth, for the strikes on the territory of Russia. The Kremlin, well, Vladimir Putin personally, is just openly theorizing how it can respond to such permission. Well, and he does that openly, publicly, at the Economic Forum in St. Petersburg. Just happened 3 days ago. So, this is the discussion between the USA and the Putin. Very brief. The United States has officially allowed the use of weapons supplied to Ukraine against targets of on Russian territory, but only in border areas and only if these targets in turn strike Ukraine, so kind of to defend itself. At the same time, many NATO countries, other than the USA, have allowed the use of their weapons without any restrictions. Putin responded by describing theoretical options for retaliation escalation. He said that he did not plan to use tactical nuclear weapons, but recalled that Russia possesses them. It has a lot of them. The power of each charge is 3 times the power of the bomb dropped by the United States on Japan in 1945. In addition, Russia has a doctrine in which the conditions for use of nuclear weapons are defined. I'll tell you the doctrine later. Putin also suggested that Russia may follow other theoretical lines of escalation immediately, such as intermediate escalation on the way to a nuclear conflict. For example, to transfer weapons, well, the nukes of the same class as supplied. Oh, I'm trying to put it in simple words. Okay, these are very complicated topics here. So, Putin suggested that he might do the same, Russia might do the same, that the United States did to Ukraine. Russia might do the same to the same countries. It might supply the weapons same kind of weapons the United States supplied to Ukraine, Russia can supply to other states and, listen to this, organizations, perhaps the terrorist organizations, perhaps the Taliban, perhaps the Hamas, who knows. So anyway, that are in the conflict with the West. So those countries and organizations have the opportunity to strike at Western sensitive facilities. This formula for a potential response is clearly not a spontaneous impromptu, okay? Putin has repeated it verbatim twice in the last few days. So it's not an impromptu. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Before it's pretty, how do I say that? That's pretty simple, okay? Vladimir Putin starts escalating when he feels that he is threatened. Because if the Ukrainian armed forces strike back and defeat Russian army, most likely it's going to be the end of Vladimir Putin. His life and his friends, his regime, whatever he has been building for 24 years will be destroyed. So every time he sees danger on the horizon, he starts escalating, reminding the Western countries in the USA that Russia possessed the nukes, okay, and hinting that it might use them, okay. So, but now it's pretty straightforward, right? But this is where it gets interesting. Before I get there, I would like to thank you, those of you who bought me coffees at buymeacoffee.com. I would like to say thank you, because you buying me coffee really shows that you like what I do. You like it so much that you actually, support the channel. This is incredibly inspirational, and it shows me that I am on the right direction, gives me energy to move forward, inspires me. So again, thank you so very much. So this gets interesting, right? What Putin argues in this nuclear escalation, it doesn't make any sense. If the West allows the use of the weapons systems, advanced weapons systems, on the territory of Russia, blah, 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 Russia might do that, Russia has this and that, blah, 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 blah. You know what? The truth is that Ukraine has been periodically using Western-supplied weapons against targets on Russian territory for a long time now, since 2022. In Belgorod, I'm just going to give you a few examples. In Belgorod province, not too far from Belgorod, back in 2022, fragments of the AGM-88 HARM anti-radar missile manufactured in the United States and supplied to Ukraine, and that missile is designed to defeat raiders of air defense systems, were found. It means that it was used against targets on Russian territory. In 2023, the armed forces of Ukraine shot down 2 Russian planes and 2 helicopters over Bryansk province, obviously using Western-supplied weapons. According to the Russian side, Patriot air defense systems were used for that, supplied to Kyiv by the United States of America and Germany. In 2023 and 2024, Ukrainian detachments of intelligence units of Ukrainian armed forces used American equipment, including armored vehicles, even helicopters, a bunch of stuff, during raids across the border into Russian territory. And for the shelling of Belgorod in the last year, the armed forces of Ukraine used Czech modifications of Grad Vampire multiple launch rocket system. Well, perhaps they're hitting the targets in Belgorod with Serbian-made missiles of increased range. So Putin claims that if Western weapons are used on Russian territory, then the red alert would be announced. The red lines would be crossed, and this conflict would be very possible. So what he's saying is it doesn't make any sense. Nonsense. Where are the red lines? Western manufactured weapons have been used on Russian soil, on Russian territory, for the past, 30 months or so. So it's nonsense. What Putin suggests, he has hidden message, okay? And then I think that message hits those who the message is aimed at. What he really suggests is that he refers to specific weapons or specific targets inside Russia. And judging by the severity of this escalation, Putin understands that this new weapon can change the nature of the war, or this target, if he is hit on the Russian territory, also can change the nature of the war. Okay, Putin is afraid. Every time he starts escalating, he shows that he's deathly afraid, because this escalation is the point of no return, basically. He's deathly afraid, otherwise he wouldn't be threatening Europe and the USA with the nukes. So this is Putin's nuclear threat formula that was born at the end of 2022 when the first escalation started, and is being repeated right now. Russia does not want and is not going to use nuclear weapons, but such use is possible. And the conditions for this are prescribed in the doctrine called Fundamentals of the State Policy of the Russian Federation in the field of nuclear deterrence, which was adopted in 2022. This is first part of the Putin's formula. And the second part is this document, the doctrine. In this document, the threshold for use of nuclear weapons is described as follows. Either a retaliatory nuclear strike in response to launch of ballistic missiles attacking territory of Russia and or territory of allies, to the use of nuclear weapons in these territories, and to any, including non-nuclear strike, that may disrupt the response of Russian nuclear forces. So, in other words, if someone attacking Russia with ballistic missiles, attacking Russia's allies with ballistic missiles, or with any other weapons that may disrupt the response of Russian nuclear forces. Okay, so that's part number two, and part number one and part number two is, or a nuclear response to a non-nuclear attack defined as aggression against Russian Federation using conventional weapons when the very existence of the state is at risk. This is part number two of this doctrine. And you see, the document does not provide any explanation on how to determine whether such threat to Russian Federation, existence of Russian Federation occurs. What kind of threat is that? Therefore, it leaves room for any interpretation. This is, to me, that's absolutely crazy. Okay, what kind of doctrine is that? It does not give direct orders. It does not draw firm lines. It just leaves space for interpretation. And this is exactly how Russian state works. So, will Russia use the nukes? Where, when, how? We see that there is no direct confrontation in Ukraine with the Western forces, with the Western troops, at least so far. The West has been very careful, extremely careful, about having direct confrontation with Russia. Look, it's been 28 months already, and F-16s are still not in Ukraine. It took a year for tanks to arrive to Ukraine. It took almost 9 months for ammo to arrive to Ukraine. So the West is being extremely careful, okay, about having direct confrontation with Russia. And there is a set of limitations for the Ukrainians to use Western weapons on the territory of Russia. It still exists. And this is what Russia wants. Russia wants the West to be as careful dealing with Ukraine, supplying the weapons to Ukraine as possible. Okay, because if limitations are off and whatever weapons necessary supplied to Ukraine timely, Russians will not stand a chance. They are not standing a chance now. I mean, they started an offensive, a month ago onto Kharkov. What has happened to that offensive? Really? Nothing? Now, Ukrainian forces at some points of the front lines are doing counteroffensive, okay? So Russia cannot win at this current situation. But what it hates to see that Ukraine gets beefed up by the West. And using this rhetoric of escalating nuclear threat up to yin-yang because it has nothing left. Let's say Iran recently had a very good example. It struck Israel massively, but it was a non-nuclear strike. And it did not lead to global ostracism, or whatever. It did not lead to global condemnation of Iran. Well, any further condemnation, If it was a nuclear strike, if Iran would somehow drop a nuclear bomb on Israel, that would have been absolutely different situation. So the example of Iran shows that if even massive strikes are executed, then other countries would probably swallow that. But such strikes, non-nuclear strikes for Russia, they have disadvantages compared to nuclear strikes in the sense of deterring the enemy. Again, Russia just doesn't have much to strike with. It's barely hanging to the positions it's at. If the attacks are too painful, it cannot be completely excluded that they will lead to the opposite effect, to uncontrolled escalation. Not to de-escalation, but, on the contrary. In any case, this experience of 2.5 years of war shows that the opponents, the West and the Kremlin, do not want a direct clash or completely uncontrolled development of the conflict. Therefore, the risk of the nuclear war between Russia and the West is still low. But there's still the risk. What I'm afraid of is that the situation might become uncontrollable. For example, Vladimir Putin in Russia is in complete control right now. He controls everything and everyone. And that is true. And most likely, he has this incredible feeling of might, self-empowerment. Okay, he thinks that he's semi-god in Russia. But the reality is there's a balance of power, and there are different power groups other than Vladimir Putin. Putin thinks that he's got entire Russia by the throat, but his balance is a very fragile thing. What if the generals who control the nuclear forces of Russia, would think otherwise if Putin say, okay, we have escalated too much. We would like to, get this pressure down. We're stepping down. We're backing out of this. What if the generals who are strong enough, like in charge of the nuclear forces, say, wait a second, you can't do that. You can't escalate. You can't threaten the West. You can sell this idea to Russians that the West is evil and we must, strike non-strategic weapons onto Europe. And then you cannot sell this idea and then go back and back out of it. No, that's not how it works. And they would strip Putin of power. This is one scenario. There are many other scenarios. And this is what I am really afraid of. That things can get out of control fast. And then, please, help us God. There are different kinds of people in Russia. In terms of power, in terms of values, looking at what's happening in Russia now for the past couple years, I have a feeling that values among Russians, especially the top ones, have deteriorated. Just look at Dmitry Medvedev. Used to be a normal guy. Now, what the hell he talks about? Just read his Twitter. So I'm really afraid that Vladimir Putin's going to be out of the picture, but his power to control the nukes would be gained by people like them, like Medvedev, like Gurulev, and the likes. And this is what really doesn't let me sleep. Well, answering your question, can we sleep well? I can answer for myself. For now, I go to bed and I sleep well. I sleep well, and tonight I will go to bed and I sleep well. I think the risk is still low. I think there is escalation like we have never seen before. But this is bluff. Putin is bluffing. He knows better. And this nuclear escalation and bluffing, the only thing he has left, really. It shows us the weak position of himself, of Russian army, and perhaps the situation inside Russia's power groups. That's the escalation of last resort, so to speak. So I will finish the stream, then I'll go to bed, and I will sleep well. I hope I'm right. Thank you so very much. I would like to invite everyone to go to live stream chat, which I'm going to turn on now. Let's discuss, share your opinions. Let me know what you think. What is your take on nuclear escalation? Will you go and sleep well tonight or not? At least because of, this nuking escalations. Thank you. Gosh, it was complicated. Very, very complicated issues. Tons of data. I hope I explained it in the words that are simple enough to understand. Live stream chat is on. Fantastic to see everyone. I was preparing for the stream for a few hours and developed a splinter headache, by the way. Not the easiest topic to talk about. If you're here for the first time, I would like to inform you that this in the YouTube channel Inside Russia has the best moderation team in the world. Lorna, Mami K, Dirk, Bob S, Harry Potter, and Amir Fazad, the fantastic people and the best moderators you can find. So friends, thank you for coming back. And the usual suspects, fantastic to see you. We have people from all over the world, the USA, the UK, Canada, North and South America. We usually don't get anyone from Russia, but it's great. I wish it stays like that way. So howdy, friends. Howdy. As usual, if you want me to notice your comment or question easier, please put it in all caps and put inside Russia after add sign, so it gets highlighted in orange, large orange box, and I see it easier. Thank you so much. So Sam the Legend K, howdy. Thank you, Bob. John Abira, first comment, he's definitely bluffing. He hasn't got the bottle. Thank you so much, friend. Thank you. Let me know if this stream has been informational, helpful for you. I tried to explain what I think. Again, it's such a complicated issue, you know, there's so much involved. Have I succeeded in explaining or I have not? Please let me know. Deborah from California, howdy. Whereabouts in California are you from? Please remind. Harry, good to see you. The real question is, could Putin accept defeat in Ukraine, and how would Russian population react to that? VJ John, I would like to step one step further. The real question for me is how Putin can find the exit from the situation. He will accept defeat, but he will call it the victory. And I think that's what he and his gang has been trying to find, a way out, so they can save their faces. Putin can save his face. Russians will buy it. Oh, don't worry about Russian population. They will react, probably won't even notice much, okay? The real question is how he can back out of it, how he can end it by saving his face. There were rumors that he was going to take Kharkov and then say, okay, this is enough, this is the victory, we have taken Kharkov, but not only he has not been able to do that, he's being defeated there. My gosh, friends, we have Collective West in the house. Collective West itself, himself, herself, I don't know. This is fantastic. Welcome, friend. London, UK. What a great place London is. My most favorite is, my friend used to live on Baker Street near Regent's Park. It's, such a fantastic place. Jeffrey, what's your take on Russian destroyers going to Cuba? Well, it's a part of the escalation. That's flexing the muscles. That's what I think. I don't take that seriously. Terry, how many are involved in the decision to use the nukes? I have heard there are seven steps one needs to take. Putin presses the button, and then there are 6 more steps. 6 more people, 6 more agencies, Ministry of Defense, I don't know if it's KGB involved or not, but different officers, commanding officers inside the Ministry of Defense and so forth. The Minister of Defense is involved and things like that. So it's not a very simple decision. It's a very complicated process. And thank goodness for that. Anne Jensen from Denmark, thank you so much. Fantastic to see you. Hollis, this is getting stressful. Oh yeah, trust me, it is. Stefan, thank you so much for sponsoring by 5 people. Thank you. Christian Burasa from Canada, howdy. Milan Kovac, hello, hello. Tamika Smith says, no, I will not sleep well. We have Messiah Daniel Jolie from Chabany, Ukraine. Howdy, friend. Sending my love to you and to everyone around you. Koshkin Dom. Dream Stream. I like the name. Jim Timber. Howdy, howdy. Brother Randall. Przemyslav. Howdy. Sounds like a Polish name. Gloucestershire, UK. Kamo from Czech Republic. Hello, friends. And my stream jumped. Hate when it happens. Mac, howdy, friend. No one believes Putin when he wants peace or when he threatens nuclear bombs. You can't believe Putin when he concludes treaties. There can be only peace without Putin because nobody trusts him anymore. You know what? You are right on. It's really, I can't argue with that, what you just wrote. Thank you. I've personally made quite a few live streams calling Putin's lies because I don't forget anything. I write everything down, you know. Epic lies, too. Epic. Michelle de Rome, thank you so much for your comment. I will sleep very well because it is empty words. Thank you. Much appreciated. Pilgrim Media, thank you so much for your support. The Vikings are proud people. They are, or perhaps they were. You know, it's not a question that you just had, it's a statement, but it's a very tough one. I am a Russian. I was born and raised in Russia, and I consider myself Russian. I have Russian culture imprinted in me because I grew up in the USSR, then in Russia. And I know that there are lots of good people in Russia. But something happened. Something majorly wrong happened. Something went wrong 2.5 years ago. And people started to change. And even good people started to change. I know some personally, you know. This is a huge unanswered question for me. And perhaps one of my missions is to find the answer. What the hell happened to people? Joe says Russian ships and nuclear submarine arrives in Cuba. Well, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be welcomed and monitored quite well. So I don't think they, even if they would want to do something, they would not be of any use because that they are under microscope from you know who. Keith from Hawaii, howdy, howdy. Dirk, well, this is not new haircut. It's been 2 weeks since I had my haircut last time. So I usually have haircut every 7 days, but it's been 14. That's why it's so noticeable. But it's not new. It's kind of old. If we spend time worrying about nuclear war, then we will always be worried. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I like your attitude. I like your attitude. You know, at early days of Inside Russia, there was person, a very nice lady, and she was from the USA, from the East Coast, and she worried so much about everything. It seemed like she needed something to worry about, otherwise she wouldn't feel good. She was absolutely freaking out when there was a volcano in Spain, in Tenerife, I believe. There's a few islands off the coast of Africa, but they belong to Spain. And there was a volcano a couple years ago, 3 years ago. And it was erupting, and they were like, I don't know how to call them, fake news spreaders. They were just putting people into panicking mode, saying that, oh, this volcano is going to explode, and there will be a tidal wave, and it'll come to the east coast of the USA, and then that's going to be the end of the USA. All people will die. It was such nonsense, but she mailed me a few times, and she was absolutely sincere, and she worried so much about it. She said she couldn't sleep at nights because of that. So that's bad. I suggest don't worry that much, Gregory Stevens, thank you. I think if the USA really thought Putin was serious, he would wake up to a stinger out of his window. And you know what, Gregory, thank you. I think you're absolutely right. Angela McNaugh is sponsored for 16 months, and it's a higher level, upper level tier, so deep inside Russia. Angela, thank you so much. Fantastic to see you every time in the streams. Thank you. And again, Stefan, thanks for sponsoring 5 people. Brother Randall says, yes, I will sleep fine tonight. He's bluffing. Thank you so much. HPB, good analysis, but it lacks the inclusion of China's role. There is valid security agreement between Ukraine and People's Republic of China, nuclear threats. No way Russia can ignore this. The reason I am aware of that, but the reason I did not include is because it's more of rumors. There is no signed public document to prove that such a security agreement exists. Okay. There are rumors that after Putin started escalating for the first time in 2022, he had a very tough conversation from the Chinese. And they told him not to do it or else, okay? And then that's basically when shut up. But that's just rumors. That's why I did not include. But thanks for bringing it up. It shows that you are pretty well informed, Mixtas, big fan from Lithuania. So if you think Putin going to use nukes, where he's planning to use them? Ukraine, Poland, or Baltic states. Now, he was doing a lot of blah, blah, blah at the Economic Forum. But his main point was this. He said that people in Europe know that if Russia uses nuclear weapons in Ukraine or in Europe, the United States will not step in. It'll be just sitting there watching. So don't have any ideas. So that was direct threat to Europe. I think he's absolutely wrong. I think if he uses nuclear weapons, even the small, like I said, even a small bomb or whatever, the smallest denomination, I don't even know what the smallest one is, but that's going to be the end. The escalation, everyone will retaliate immediately, okay? I don't think he's going to use the nukes on the Baltic states. There's no way. Every single day, when you open Russian propaganda website or you go on Russian TV, you hear this. Oh, there's tons of Russians living in Lithuania, in Latvia, in Estonia, and their rights are so oppressed. They're not allowed to speak Russian. They're not allowing Russian to be the official language of Lithuania. I'm sitting there and thinking, like, every single time, are you fucking insane? Why don't you make Lithuania an official language of Russia? Because there are probably Lithuanians living in Russia, okay? Why don't you do that? What makes you, if you don't, what makes you right to force that on Lithuanians, okay? But anyway, I think that the Baltics are out of the picture. Germany's probably out of the picture too, because Germany's, historically good relationship with Russia. France is out of the picture too. I think the only country he probably threatens is Poland, because Poland is the ballsiest out of all and is standing the tallest and the bravest, I guess. One of the top generals said something about Netherlands. He said that Netherlands is hugely important for Russia, and then it takes just one tiny little bomb to get rid of Netherlands. Which is, to me, he's probably not sober, okay? But that's the only second European country I heard, okay? So most likely Poland. Anyway, thanks for being a big fan. I appreciate it very much. Viking, you forget one important thing. NATO has weapons to shoot down Russian nukes, both known and unknown secret ones. So nukes for Russia is just talking about it. But we will see. Thank you. Well, I'm not forgetting this important thing. I actually don't know much about NATO air defense, nuclear defense system. So holy moly, folks, look at this. YouTube just did something very new. You can actually comment super chats now. This is awesome. Wow. Okay, this is great. This is great. Anyway, well, I agree with this comment that he will do it in Ukraine if he does that, because everything else is Article number 5 of NATO. Folks, I want you to remind you something, and that is a small detail, but I think it's hugely important to show you that Putin is bluffing. Somehow, most people have forgotten about that, and that's hugely important. There was a case back in 2022 when a Russian missile was intercepted by a Ukrainian missile and was being intercepted. And anyway, to make the long story short, one of the missiles flew from Ukraine into Poland, not too far deep inside into Poland, like 3 miles, but it fell onto a farm and it killed a Polish farmer. And it was a big deal in Poland. Poland went on high alert. If you are from Poland watching me, you must remember a couple years ago, Poland went on highest alert and it immediately notified all NATO countries. It started the procedure, I think it's Article number 4, discussing the situation and making decisions, something like that. And at the same time, you would not believe how Russians got scared. All that evil rhetoric, this bravado from Russian propaganda, from Russian politicians, stopped immediately. And all they started telling is like, it wasn't us, it wasn't us. Hey, it wasn't us. It was not we did not fly, like our missile did not fly to Poland. It was Ukrainian. And then there was an investigation, turned out to be its air defense system. That missile was part of Ukrainian air defense system, and it was not Russian missile. But you should have seen them running around and soiling their pants out of fear. that Article 5 would be invoked, okay? And all of a sudden, it was discovered, the missile was not Russian, and then the rhetoric returned. The evil West, oh, we'll show them, we have nukes and all of that. So, but that was the true moment of truth where everything became like very clear and transparent, okay? So, Karsten, welcome to Inside Russia. We have a new sponsor. This is awesome. Mac, thank you so much. In the event of a nuclear strike, the USA does not have to react at all. China already does that, and if China doesn't react, there will be no trade. Trade is China's power today. Spot on. Thank you so much. True, true, true. So we have this TK-80. I disagree with you. They do not supply Russia with weapons systems. You know why? I am pretty sure. Because sooner or later, these weapon systems would show up on the battlefield. For example, shot down drones or shot down missiles or something like that, Then one evidence of that would put China into so many problems. Chinese simply don't need to supply. They're afraid. They're scared to supply weapons to Russia. To risk everything they have. Mac is absolutely right. Trade is their power. To risk all the power they have, for what? For helping Russia? Yeah, they have a different agenda. They don't want to help Russia. They want to do the opposite. I see that Jason Carney is back. Thank you so much for... First of all, it's great to see you back, Jason. I hope you have recovered. Please, if you can... let us know. We keep on praying for you. Thank you for your support. The champion of super chatting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Fantastic to see you. Hey, I can like and heart super chats now too. Well, obviously I'm gonna do that all. Airborne Snail, thank you so much for your headache. It's actually growing. I'm gonna be wrapping the stream up in a few minutes. So I had a titus. My ears were hurting like pretty bad for a couple days. So I think this is just the side effects. Michelle, thank you. Paula W, thank you for acknowledging Super Chat too. Veloris, who's going to read a reply under Super Chat? I don't know. I'm learning about this feature. I like it. I definitely am going to read, and I'm going to heart it. Jason, thank you for sponsoring 5 people too. Thank you. C. Collins, thank you so much. Slightly off topic, but because of the floods and other disasters in Russia, more disasters are coming. I just learned there's a bunch of wildfires in Yakutia, in Russia's north. I'm gonna include into Friday news update that information. So, does the government have an agency to address disasters that help people recover their losses and help with food and shelter? Absolutely. It's called the Ministry of Emergency Affairs. Situations, not affairs. The head of the ministry was Shoigu until 2012. He was fired and transferred to become the Minister of Defense. Now the current, the Shoigu left his man in charge. His buddy inherited his position. And then his buddy was fired, and Putin's former bodyguard now heads this agency. Basically, it doesn't do anything these days. It's supposed to help. It's supposed to address disasters, help people recover their losses, help with food, shelter. But when there was a flood, this man, the minister, I showed him. He came and he blamed regular people at ignoring warnings, and then there were no warnings, okay? But then he lied, he blamed them, said it's your fault. And then he used this super duper high tech floating like semi-boat, semi-car, very expensive one, going around and looking at places, and people were filming him and like, why did you come here? So, answering your question, thank you for your support. Lorraine Prasnowski, fantastic to see you. Channel, one of the pillars of Inside Russia. Been the sponsor of the channel since I turned on the sponsorship. I think it's like, what, 20 plus months, close to 30 months now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Certainly hard and like. Shane, Leslie, thank you so much from Canada. I appreciate the support. M. Back from the UK. Missiles on Poland was Russian. The lat and long were mixed up when retargeting Lviv from Kiev. Put one coordinate from Kiev and one from Lviv, and you get the exact location on the farm in Poland. Well, I don't know how to react. I'm going by the official information from the NATO. NATO did investigation. He said it was not Russian. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps they did that not to escalate further. I don't know, but thank you. So let me see if I missed anyone. Again, I would like to thank Sam K, Stefan, Michelle, Pilgrim Media, Mac, Jeffrey S. You are more of a mama's boy than a Russian. Thank you. Sending my love to Minnesota. Thank you, Jeffrey. Angela McNaugh, thank you. Samsa Soman, fantastic to see you again here. Mac, thank you so much. Shane, Leslie, thank you. Mixtas, thank you, thank you, thank you. Pinda the Peanut, I missed yours. The only red line that must be feared is that Putin wants to be unpredictable. Thank you so much. This is awesome. I see that people start responding to super chats, inside super chats. This is awesome. I love it. It doesn't make live streams easier, that's for sure. Jason Carney, thank you so much. Again, Airborne Snail, for your headache. Too much time off is not a good thing, you know. Grab a beer on my cost. Fantastic. Codidas. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will do so. Bull Trader, in your opinion, are Russia's losses as great as West media reports? Russia's losses as great? Thank you. Good question. This is what I think. Russia reports 0 losses. 0. The West reports tons of losses, okay? I believe the West. The West, even if the West is wrong, it's not off by much, okay? The West keeps proving that it's right. time and time again. The United States was saying, the intelligence was saying, Russia will attack Ukraine. I was laughing. Everyone was laughing, saying that can't, it's impossible. It can't happen. They gave the date, 16th of February. I came out to play with Michael. I made fun of the intelligence, American intelligence, and I said it would never happen, you know. And I still regret doing that live stream, but hey, I was proven wrong. Everyone was proven wrong, and Americans were right. The British are right time and time again. So I believe the Western information. Even if they're off, they're not off by much. So thank you. Oh, my friends, that's probably gonna be it for today. I gotta go and sleep. I wonder if person who left a super chat can comment there too. Late viewing today. How are bank transactions starting to fail with increasing sanctions? KG1, howdy. Well, they're not improving. Russian companies cannot trade with Turkey, and they still cannot trade with China. Russian ruble is not crashing at this point only because of that. Because there's very little demand for dollars now. Russians cannot buy anything, not because they don't have dollars, not because they don't have something to pay with, but because Chinese and Turkish banks simply refuse the transactions, okay? That's a huge problem. It's one of the biggest system problems that Russia is facing right now. So, bank transactions are at all-time low. That's what can I say. Pinda, are the Russian troops really retreating from Crimea? I haven't. This is news for me. I don't know. I haven't seen that. Lorna, thank you so much. I just did. Viking, thank you so much. 17 months. Try to hold 2 thumbs up in front of your camera. I don't know what you meant, but okay. Karsten, again, welcome. Mag, sponsor for 8 months. Samsa, sponsor for 22 months. And Angela for 16 months. Jeffrey, 25 months. Michelle for 18 months. Sam K, 17 months. So thank you, friends. Okay, let's finish this live stream with a prayer, as usual. I invite everyone to pray with me. If you're religious, if you're not still, please pray with me. Pray with us. You can call it a different name, not praying, but sending good wishes or vibes. To me, and I think to most of us, it's absolutely the same. So please, let's do it. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Thank you for giving food, putting food on our tables and giving roofs above our heads. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful, and give us wisdom to raise our children the way that when they grow up, they will just be loving each other, never fighting each other. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy, because they are our life and our world. Dear Lord, please help Ukraine. Help every single Ukrainian who has been affected by this disaster, this war. Answer their prayers, make their wishes come true. Please reach out and touch the hearts and souls of those who are responsible, capable of making the decision to stop the bloodshed, so they make that decision. They wake up, they realize they're still human, they still have love in their hearts, and then they make that such decision. Please help my country. Assemble your strongest army with strongest angels and sharpest swords led by Saint Michael, and send them to the earth to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country, who we know by their faces and by their names. Have angels help Russians to run their country and make it peaceful, loving, and respected, and not feared. Please help everyone who's traveling. Send them safe travels. Everyone who's seeking for asylum. Single mothers who are struggling, raising their children, trying to make ends meet. Please help those who are helping Ukrainians, and right now help those families and Ukrainian people who are under threat of Russian attacks. Please help the hungry, the sick, the homeless, the jobless, the addicted, the depressed, the betrayed, the ones who are not feeling well about themselves and about their lives, and the ones who are feeling lonely, alone in this world. Dear Lord, please fill hearts of people in need with love, and reveal yourself to them so they feel you. They know that you are with them. You have not left and abandoned them. You are watching every step they make, and helping them, so they feel that they're not alone. They feel that you are with them. They feel that they have a chance, and there's hope in their life, and there's love in their life. Thank you so much. So please help everyone who is in need. Thank you for allowing us to come together and pray. Thank you for everyone who's praying along with me or simply watching us pray. Answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's dream come true. Dear Lord, I have a few people that I'd like to ask for. They need your help. And their names are Ann Larson and her daughter Hannah, Jeffrey S. and his family, Alex from Albuquerque, Mark Rutan, Paula W., Dennis, Koshkin Dom, Gabing with Gary, Remy, Warp, Linda Trombley, John McLean, Ron Klotzer, Terry Carter, Tom W., Lisa Kumrian, Marie Doran, Warren Spees, Jay Spike, Frank, Jim in Houston, Frank from Texas, Tim Mayers, Larry B., Dominic, Susie Mailer, Kurt, Bogey Burger and Sons, Electron's family, Rhonda McGillis, Kyle E.'s wife, Wayne, who is fighting 2 cancers. Please send recovery, strength, and send love. Dave and Dawn, Boss Salmon, Dory, Julia Haney, Darla, White Lightning, George Ruberty, Lise Dumbrell, Julie W., Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Grace, Randolph, Mr. Dean Spooner at his church, Maggie, Liz, Karen, Leif, Pamela J, John Lee McMahon, Stefan from Sweden, the Highwayman, David Porter, his family, and everyone from Chernovtsi, Ukraine. Oh, dear Lord, also please help little girl Sarah, send her more recovery and send strength to her family. Please send love to the entire family of her. Thank you so very much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, thanks for coming. Thanks for giving me another chance. Tomorrow, I will speak of another very important issue that's going to give you a better understanding of Russia and where it's heading to. I'm going to be talking about the taxation system that's been changed, the new one introduced in Russia, and that's a ripoff of all Russians, but hey, many of us saw it coming. I'm going to be talking more about that, so please come back, and I would like to remind you that you're absolutely awesome and you rock, and I would like to ask you, before I sign off, to say out loud, along with me, as loud as you can, the following. Carthago delenda est.